Welcome to this video where I will briefly introduce inquiry-based learning. I think most of you have heard something about inquiry-based learning, but briefly I can tell you that this was a teaching method that has its origins in the 1960s, where a criticism emerged against such pedagogies that dealt with the passive transmission of knowledge. Learning up to that point was generally about listening to the teacher and following their instructions, but supported by the work of Jean Piaget, John Dewey, Lev Vygotsky, and Paul Freire, among others, this view of learning began to be challenged. Students and pupils would be part of the learning process themselves. They would become so-called active learners. This tradition is often described as constructivism, which, among other things, emphasizes learning as an active and social process. Inquiry-based learning should be understood as part of this tradition of learning. It is such a teaching method that allows students to construct knowledge themselves through inquiry. From a research-based teaching and learning perspective, this means, among other things, that students are encouraged to adopt the methods and practices used by researchers. Thus, the aim is to turn students into researchers, at least at a basic level. As inquiry-based learning is widely used in higher education and elsewhere too, its effects have been the subject of extensive research. I'm not going to go through this research, but at least I want to say that it shows that as an educational method or strategy, it produces good results on student learning. To summarize these studies, inquiry-based learning has proven effective for deep learning, where what the students learn is more likely to become part of their long-term knowledge. It is also beneficial for critical thinking and has been shown to give students skills that are essential for their future. For this reason, educational institutions around the world have also embraced this learning strategy to develop citizens with good academic literacy. Inquiry-based learning looks a bit different depending on the field of research and teaching, but to give at least a general description of inquiry-based learning, one can say that it is characterized by certain qualities. I have seen several different lists of such qualities, but I will mention here 4 of the most important ones, at least according to me. First, it is student-led, which means that it is primarily the students who are active in the search for knowledge. They will thus strive to deeper knowledge by, for example, asking questions, exploring different themes, and seeking answers to the questions and problems that interest them. Second, it is collaborative. As I will argue later, inquiry-based learning is similar to the research process in that you seek support from your work from colleagues who in this case are primarily other students, but also the teacher and your potential supervisor. They are also tasked with critically reviewing your work, just as you are tasked with reviewing theirs. Furthermore, inquiry-based learning is often collaborative in the sense that the project of inquiry is carried out in a group of inquirers. Third, it is also reflective. Inquiry-based learning is about getting students to reflect on the process that they are part of and reflect on how it happened. This may mean, as the process is collaborative, that you are also willing to listen to the critical thoughts of others and then process your thinking, practices, or work in the light of these comments. Fourth, inquiry-based learning is process-oriented. It is not just about arriving at an answer to a question. It is also about learning how the process of obtaining knowledge works, so that in the future, the student can have insights into how others arrived at the knowledge presented in public and how you as a previous student can pursue knowledge in the future yourself. So generally, when discussing inquiry-based learning, you should see these 4 characteristics presented if it is to be considered to be inquiry-based learning. So in the next video, I will show how this can look like in practice by presenting 4 forms of inquiry that the teacher facilitates.